Thank you for allowing me to speak. I know that I was not on the speaker's list. I'm in support of your writing that letter, objecting to that spectra coming through Jersey City. I think that it's important to note that there is no benefit to us for spectra to come through our area, and that it would put our citizens in harm's way. So I support sending that letter. I support sending it as strongly as you possibly could. I understand that there's some legalities that you have some concerns about, but that's what your legal department is for, to put those things in the proper term that they should. The other thing that I came to speak about is it was my understanding at our council meeting that there was some question about whether or not Dr. Epps' contract was negotiated via the Open Public Meeting Act, whether it was sunshine properly. Now, I just got here a few minutes ago, and some people have said to me on the outside that the legal opinion was that it was in fact done properly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Because at that time, in all fairness to you, Dr. Epps, I voted that they should do it again, because for me, if it wasn't properly sunshine, and that's what my legal department said, that it wasn't properly sunshine, and if it wasn't properly sunshine, then it would be a miscarriage of justice for me to vote for something that wasn't supposed to be right. So I voted against your contract being awarded to that, in that respect. But if you're telling me now that that there has been some new opinion that they were in fact done properly, then I just want to publicly say to you, Dr. Epps, that I will support whatever decision was, because my vote had nothing to do with you. My vote had to do with the process. And I don't care if it was my father. If the process wasn't right, the process wasn't right. And that information was given to me by my legal department, because at our council meeting, I was specific. I asked whether or not it was properly sunshine, and my legal department said it was not. Okay, so let me just put that on the record so that everybody hears it at one time, so you don't have to go.
That's very, for me, it was that's very
Yes.
If we may, we have our counsel here, and if you could just reassure the councilwoman that.
Absolutely. Let me just back up. First off, I never heard from the legal department. So if the legal department had a question, the city, they know where I am, so they could have called me or Ms. Hack and asked if there was a problem with the notice. But let me tell you what happened. There was a meeting that was noticed publicly within more than 48 hours in advance. It took place on June 22nd. And that was a meeting that was noticed. It was in conformance to the Open Public Meeting Act. I was in attendance. It was a public portion. We went into executive session. It was just like any public meeting. In terms of the accountability regs, Dr. Epps' contract won't be considered until August 11th. You had to publish it at least 30 days in advance of the board taking action. So that was published before July 11th in conformance with the new requirements under the accountability regs, so that the public has advance notice and they can come to the public hearing on August the 11th to hear what the board has to say and vote on Dr. Epps' contract. So everything was done in compliance, and I think that prior to you getting here, the county executive superintendent echoed the fact that everything that we had done, although he's not a lawyer as he indicated, everything that he's been told, it was done in compliance with the law completely. So I'd be glad if you want to, whoever told you in the legal department that, if they want to give me a call, I'd be glad to talk to them.
The reality of it is that it's public record, because my request was at our council meeting. So that's record that anybody can get, for the record,
Right.
because that was my question. I asked that question 3 times, whether or not in fact it was, because when the resolution came before us, my question was this properly sunshine? That's all I want to hear. I don't want to hear a whole lot of stories.
Yeah.
Was it properly sunshine? I asked it 3 times, and all 3 times, that was the answer that I got, and that resulted in my vote, Dr. Epps. And, yes, ma'am.
Ms. Simmons?
As board secretary, and I hold the records of the board, I had never got a request or a phone call from the city council to give them the information.
No, it wasn't city
to show-
council, from our legal
from the
department.
But for your information,
Okay.
to give you the actual advertisement to show that it was sunshine properly.
Okay.
The only time we responded was because of when the board was actually sent the legal information saying that we had done something wrong. And nobody never requested that from us,
Okay.
not a phone call, anything.
Well, okay, so why then was there a second meeting? Is this the second meeting?
No, if I could, the first meeting, the way the law works is this. The law says, and I'll just give you you have to give Dr. Epps a notice of non-renewal of his contract term. So the meeting was just to get legal advice from me, which I can't reveal in public, as to when you had to provide notice to Dr. Epps as to whether or not to renew or not renew his contract. His contract that expires June 30th of 2011.
Okay.
So the meeting that took place on June 22nd, that was what was discussed in closed session. Tonight, the board is going to give me direction and have a dialogue in closed session about the negotiations of Dr. Epps' contracts and what they want to see in it. Once the board has come to an agreement with that, at that point, we then send it to the county executive superintendent. The county executive superintendent, Dr. Brennan, must review the contract to ensure that it complies with all the accountability regulations that were passed last year.
So the board has already decided that they will extend this contract?
The board decided, the board had.
Yes or no? Help me
We
out.
voted
Yes.
6-2-1
Yes,
to
to
extend
extend the
this.
contract.
Yes.
Okay,
It was
thank you.
actually.
I abstained because because I did not actually think that complied with 18A 1111. I thought the language of 18A 1111 said that you had to, before you even made any decision whether to vote or not, you have to give the public
Well,
30
you know what,
days.
I'm not gonna give legal advice publicly.
But our
But,
Let him talk.
but
the
if
district
you heard,
was
the county
clear.
executive superintendent stood up and
So
said,
the county-
as far as he knew, everything was correct. You
So
heard,
is
the
it,
The commissioner
second. One at
said,
a time.
commissioner himself
the commissioner
advised.
said to me that the AG had reviewed the situation and everything, and that we were in compliance, we had not violated anything. This is what he told me last Friday as I sat in Marietta, Georgia, on my
So,
cell phone
Councilwoman,
conversation.
What commissioner was that?
Commissioner Schindler.
Councilwoman, we respect your dialogue here because we didn't know what happened behind the scenes. All we know is what we read in the paper. But our council, who I've been in contact every day,
Okay.
and I have followed everything that the council has told me because I'm not a lawyer. I go by what the attorneys tell me, and he told me everything we did was proper and publicly noticed. We notified the press, we notified the papers, we notified Dr. Epps of his rights regulation. We notified everything we did is according to what the attorney told me. Now, I'm not a lawyer, as I said, but believe me, we know there was some confusion, but I think if the council, if they wanted information, if they wanted to have the exact paperwork, they should have called somebody
Okay,
here.
I didn't need the exact paperwork, that's why we pay attorneys. And I
Right.
asked the attorney,
He's right here.
that's why I asked, no, I'm talking about my attorney.
Oh, your attorney.
That's why I asked my attorney
Well,
in
I
the
can't
public
even know why he would say
forum
that.
to,
Without contacting
To give
somebody.
me-
That's the point.
well, I'm expecting that then I don't need a corporation counsel then. Because if you're telling me that if I can't ask the corporation counsel to give me a legal opinion based on whatever is being presented to me,
I wish you'd go
then,
back and
you
tell
know,
him. If
oh,
you
don't
want some
worry.
further clarification.
I don't think anybody have to worry about what I'm gonna do. But, yeah, one last thing that I'd like,
That's the county commissioner, superintendent
oh,
rather.
okay.
Mr.
Mr. President,
Dr.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman, the misunderstanding may be on the word extend. It has a dictionary definition, which means that you simply are going to further the person's employment. But under the accountability regulations, 18A 1111, an extension means you're simply going to take the existing contract and add years to it, circumventing the executive county superintendent's examination of it. That would have required a 30-day notice and a public hearing. So I think it's just a misunderstanding. But to confirm again, from my opinion, not a legal opinion, but an educator of 44 years, and I do read those laws, I believe the Jersey City Board of Education acted completely within the law.
Thank you, sir.
may I ask?
Ms. Lester has a
Okay.
question,
Okay.
and then Mr. Valentine will be next.
Councilwoman,